Alright, what up, y'all? We out here in the night, and this is gonna be the part 2 of Bad Boys and Nice Guys. And for this one, I think the first point I want to make on the bad guys, bad boys and the nice guys, is the first thing is like why nice guys don't understand. Like they don't understand like why a woman would like a bad boy. And it's like the same reason that as a man we would like a woman that has like her body out, like her tits or ass out. I don't know if I said this in the last one, but it's basically like that. Like she has the thing that would catch our eye and like that would like get us hooked. I mean, obviously as a man, for a wife, you have like a different criteria for like a woman that you would just like grab your attention versus a woman that like you would cultivate your life with. And so like that's like the thing that like nice guys don't understand. They don't understand that's why the same reason why bad boys. That's why women like bad boys really, because it's like I guess whatever they have is like it's triggering something to them, like the same way it triggers something for us when we see like a woman in a bikini or something like that. Like it's maybe you could say it's like a primal thing, but it's like targeting exactly what you want, and it's the same thing with them. Like I mean, it's kind of weird to say like a bad boy is like a primal thing, but like it's not about being like a bad boy. It's more about the traits that they have, like which would be like dominance and maybe rebellion, or just being like and not being a square. That's like the main thing. Because if you're like a nice guy, you're like more likely to be a square. But if you're on a bad boy shit, you're probably not going to be a square. Like it's really hard for someone to imagine that being like a bad boy and being like a square at the same time. But an example of this, like if you're a nice guy and you follow like all the rules and you just do everything right, I mean, yes, there's definitely a lot of guys that like get girls or in a relationship and they live like that, but that's not like necessarily like sparking like their attraction. Like that's like a partner they can have, I guess. Like it's like because he fits like the same lifestyle that she's in, but like a bad boy sparks that like attraction, whatever that she would have. And that's one, and that's one point I have about the bad. And then the second point I have, and because like this is one back off the video. The video I was talking about was like some Instagram reel with her. The girl was like, women only sleep with like guys that they find sexually attractive. And then I'm bringing up this bad boy and nice guy thing, adding it to that point that the girl made, is because like the guys in the comment section of that same video were like, oh, women only like the bad guys, whatever, blah blah blah. They never go for good men. And the first thing that like that I guess that's like like a huge disconnect that they weren't understanding. The first part is just like she was talking about sexual attraction. Like she was talking about what she's sexually attracted to, and she was being real. Like I mean, some guys might not want to hear it, but like when I heard it, I was just like, I just accept it. Like that's what they're attracted to. And it's not any. She was obviously, she can't speak for every single woman, but like it's just like on a blanket level. Like assuming that maybe most women would agree with her. It's just saying what sexual attraction is. So I can understand if you're like a nice guy how it hurts. Because then it would explain to you why you don't get any results you don't have now, and it would maybe like go against your beliefs of how you think women should act. But I mean, it just is what it is. Like, and if you like really have understanding, you could really even understand why women choose the bad guys. Like even myself, I wouldn't consider myself a bad boy, but I could understand why. Well, I wouldn't consider my bad boy in the context of the world that I live in, based on my age, race, and gender, and everything, because. And if you just look at it like an average like black male that's like my age, they're probably that would be considered a bad boy. I'm not sure most people would consider me that. I mean, maybe to some degree I definitely have some bad boy traits, but I'm not saying I really wouldn't identify myself as that. But whatever, I guess that's up to other people to identify that as me, if they're seeing, or at least women to see me as that. But if you like really understand, you could like really see like why they choose the bad guys over the nice guys. Like it actually just makes sense. Like if you see it on a chart. And it's simply, maybe it's like, and we can go break it down to the level of like young women. So if you're like a 20-year-old guy dealing with 20-year-old chicks, and it just makes sense. It's simply because they just have what the woman want. It's just that simple. It's the same reason a guy might give the chick because they're like ass is fat, or she looks good because like she has what they want. But bad guys, they don't see like the trait. I mean, nice guys, they only look at like the morality. They're like, oh, this bad guy is morally, he's not treating you right, so you're not, as a woman, you're not good for being with him. But they're not understanding the traits. That's what they're not. It's not clicking for them, or they don't understand it. The traits that the bad boys have that they like is that the bad boys are going to be like assertive, confidence, and they have strength. But the other thing about the bad boys too is that they're more likely to like have resources like available. Probably that's like the other thing too. Like That's the thing, because if you're like a technically a nice guy, and you just have like a job or whatever, or like kind of like, this is why I wouldn't consider myself a bad boy, by the way, because I'm not like getting like money in the streets. But if you're like a street guy and you're like getting money like that, like you just have like resources like available, like more readily available. So it's like the reason why women like scammers and guys like this, especially if you're like a young woman, because if you're like a young woman, you have no money or you're starting your career, it would make like, you could see why a lot of those women would get with like a bad guy, because he has like what they want, like he has the money and he has everything else with it. So I mean, it's just that simple. But like nice guys just don't understand that, because nice guys, like they look too much into and they're like morality and based off what someone told them how things should be. And so like when they like go off of what they're told, and then it's conflicted with reality, like it gets them every single time. Like it just, because I guess you're told things should be this way and you believe it should be a certain type of way, and then you like go out into the world and it's not the same. It just really just hits you like different, and then you get in this like the resentment and the anger thing. So it's just pretty sick. But that's basically it. And then like my last point is I don't think, like I was saying, like the bad boy thing, I wouldn't consider myself, and a lot of people probably don't really understand what like a bad boy is. Like I think the easy way to understand is just like I mean, the way I would, in my head, I always think that like some like guy that's like dealing drugs or something like that, like, or a scammer type, those types. But I mean, that might not even really be what it is. The bad boy in a woman's mind is just like the guy that's not gonna like bend over her. That's really all it really comes down to, which is so crazy. And the reason I kind of like know this, because I was talking to a chick one time, and she said like I wasn't a nice guy, and it's only because like in a woman's mind, a nice guy is simply the guy that's like gonna do everything for them and pay for everything. That's like what a nice guy is like in their mind, like, which is kind of like crazy, because then it really makes it seem like almost anyone could be a bad boy. Like really, if you, I mean, and of course there's like, so that's like on a basic level, like that's really what it comes down to. Like woman, it's like if you're gonna be the guy that pays for this and this and that, or gives all the free attention and blah blah blah, that's like you're automatically put into the nice guy category. And the only way you could be not a nice guy but like do those things, like, is if you like if you're in the streets type of thing. Like if you're like a guy in the streets, and you probably, and you're like, you know that she knows you're living that life, and that's the only way you can like spend money on her, spend attention on her, and shit. Like, I mean, she'll still see you as a bad boy because you're actually living that bad boy life. But like, generally speaking, if we're just taking out the street context, anything, that's really how they consider it. Like the guys are just not going to do the X, Y, and Z. So, and it's even today, in this day and age, like maybe a woman can look at you and judge you, but I mean, like even like when we have like these apps and like texting, they're probably even judging you from that point if you're like a bad boy or not, if we're really being honest, which is kind of crazy. Because like that's the other thing too. Like it's like the woman in the video, she mentioned something about like having like game, if the guy is attractive and has game, which is like, that's like a very important point that I'm happy she brought up, because it's so true. Because like, if like, it's almost like the thing where like a woman doesn't know much about you, being attractive like gets you in the door, but like you have to have the game, and like the game is like almost that, like the game you have separates like the bad boys and the nice guys like on the next level. Like once you get on that level, like, oh, you look good, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's like a whole nother filter. So, but that's that. But then the other thing with the game thing, which is interesting about it, I was gonna say is what was I about to say? Is that I mean, like, excuse me. It's like, it's how it really might kind of affect the bad boy and the nice guy thing, because they would automatically assume that if you just don't have any game, that you would automatically just be put in that nice guy category, which is kind of crazy. Because it's just, that's like game. Like you might not have game, but like if to them, but that's the other thing too, because she was talking about sexual attraction in that video. So like this is like going on a whole nother level beyond like the bad boy and the nice guy thing. This is more of just coming down to like a guy that is just good with women, which, and you might, and as men, or at least in my culture, you wouldn't necessarily, a guy that's good with women is automatically a bad boy. Like it don't even make sense. You just say he's a guy that's good with women, but to them, that's what a bad boy is really. The bad boy is really just like, it's just a hot guy that's just gonna like, that just knows what's up. Like he knows the game, or he's going for what he wants type thing. That's really what it comes down to. And then the nice guy that just like basically would describe it as a guy that's like, it's almost like clueless, like he doesn't know what's going on. That's like the best way to put it. So I mean, like, that's really just how it comes down to it. And then I guess you could say there's two, those are the two categories, but then there's like one last one. I'd say like this is a middle one, because it's like, this would be the, I mean, because I don't think it could be like too rigid between two of them, because it would be like everyone would be a bad guy and then everyone be a nice guy, but it doesn't really make sense, because I mean the numbers are just not adding up, because the world would be a very different place if it was really that simple. I think it's more like, I think I've heard someone say this before too, it's more like it's bad guys and the guys in the middle and the nice guys. And the guys in the middle kind of count as the guys that like don't really probably deal with women at all, like really. That's how I would describe it. They're the guys that don't get used by women, but they're not getting laid a lot by women, so they're not having a lot of sex with women. They're like somewhere in the middle. So they could be the type of guys that women will try to make them spend money on them and they say no. Or they could be the type of guys where women will find them sexually attractive, but they don't have the game. So it's like they're like somewhere like stuck in the middle. Like I would describe that as like the last category. So and probably the other reason why they're in the middle too is they probably have traits of both. Like they probably have, I mean, of course everyone naturally might have traits of both, but I mean like it's very clear that that type of person in the middle would have traits of both. Like maybe they have the bad boy in the sense that they're like stand up for themselves type thing, and they're really on their own shit and they're getting it done, but maybe they're on a nice guy tip where they're not like up on game on something like that. Or I don't know, maybe they're not like, depending, they're not actually like an actual bad boy, they're just like a guy that like does this thing, so she don't really like see him as like a bad boy. So that's that part. But yeah, that's just like the main thing, like the understanding, like it just comes down to sexual attraction, like what women are sexually attracted to. I mean, I think it's just that simple. I know, but I mean, like guys is like, I mean, I was talking about this in the first one. Guys like just think because if they do X, Y, and Z, and they think how a woman should be, and it's just like I think that's why you just need to deal with the truth. And the crazy thing about dealing with the truth is that we're always dealing with the truth. You went right now and approached 50 different women, and the results you get would be the truth. Like that's like, it's not just your truth. It might be the truth that pertains to you since you're doing it, but there's probably like some common ground, like some general truth beyond it. Like the type of person you are with around 50 women and whatever, like it is good or bad about you, and the results you get, that's like truth. I just like truth. So for example, if you send like a guy that's like perfect, like tall muscles and whatever, blah blah blah, like just like a Chad Tyrone type, and he gets all 50 of women, you could say the truth behind that, like a universal truth, is that like a guy of that caliber will get most women, or at least women are attracted to that guy, that type of archetype of a guy. So that's like that's what I mean by the truth that we're dealing with, because like nice guys, like the truth is like always in their face, but they just like refuse to accept it. Because I mean, I guess because their own ideals, but they're never. I mean, I wouldn't even say the truth is hard. Like maybe in the beginning it might be hard, but it's not even like it's something that it's just what it is. Like they're just not into that. And I think maybe the other thing that like it throws them off, and I can understand, is that you wouldn't understand like how you would change yourself to get like a better result. Like you don't, like if you're like a nice guy, you don't even know how to be a bad guy. Like a lot of people automatically think of like going into like a world of like crime and everything, which is just like kind of ridiculous. But I mean, like I think it just comes down to being sexually attractive, and there's like so many things that come into that, especially these days when women have options like not being thirsty, or just all this like crazy nonsense that comes into it. But and like, I mean, so many, even like some things like a social circle, like it's just a lot of crazy shit that we play into it for these days. But I mean, it is what it is. I feel like and I want to talk about a solution, because I just been like running my mouth about like just like the problem, or like at least the perceived problem, or like what I'm seeing. If I had a solution for it, the only solution, of course, besides like leveling yourself up, would probably come down to maybe trying to like expand past what you normally do. That'd probably be what it is. Because when people think of self-improvement, they often think about doing like a certain subset of things better, like maybe like the gym and your fashion and blah 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 and whatever, like things that you're already probably doing to some extent, but like doing it better. And if you're not doing it, like taking it seriously. But I wouldn't even say, I don't even think that's complete self-improvement. I think self-improvement to get a result is like a transformation. And of course you transform when you're improving yourself, blah blah blah. But like when naturally you're improving yourself to the point where like you're stepping into new territory, like you're doing like things you never did. Because I mean, like, if the reason you're like you didn't have it before, like on the nice guy thing, you just have to change like traits around to get to the bad guy thing. So I mean, that's just what it comes down to, and it is pretty sick and it's pretty like harsh. But I mean, like, it is what it is. And the other thing, it's not even like harsh because someone told you wrong. Because people lie all the time. That's not even the hard part. I think the hard thing, like I was saying, is that it's just like hard to even figure it out. Like, how do you become that? Like, it's like, I mean, like, I think when guys think of becoming like sexually attractive, they have their ideas, like the basic like muscle and like your looks, whatever, and that's like a good one. I mean, that's like most of it probably, but it's just like, I don't know, like it's just like something that it would be like hard to understand. Like you, like, I mean, like I was saying, because like when we think of like a bad boy, you're automatically thinking someone that did something illegal. So you would think like, oh, do I have to do that? But like, no. And so it's like something that's like, it's like something that you have to decipher. Like, but then that's the deceptive part. That's the last point I have right here, is the point that it's like she just has to be sexually attracted to you. That's really what it comes down to. Like, yes, you could probably have game, but if she just wants you bad enough, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So I'm not really. I think that's what it gets them, because I mean, to some guys, you would wonder like, how could you not be sexually attracted to anyone? Like, are you really, like, I mean, like, that's like a whole different thing right there. But I mean, it's just really what it comes down to. Because I guess even in a sense, every guy is not sexually attracted to every single woman. So even if you're a guy that like maybe attracted to like 10, that's only 10 out of like how many endless hundred thousands or millions, whatever number of people. So I mean, like, that's what it just comes down to. So I don't know. I just, like I was saying, just improve and explore uncharted territories and reflect maybe on your shadow and all that. But that's it. Nice guys and the bad boys. We get 17 minutes. Let's get it.